Here is Immortal Moments for explanation. Friends, like videos and subscribes to our channel. Swallowed Star 2 Land of Origin Part 88 Explanation. So let's start our explanation. Luo Feng and Emperor Qing, carrying the spoils of their second hunt, steered the black flying boat and commenced their return journey. During the return journey, the two of them remained as cautious and vigilant as always. A flying boat is approaching, be careful. An invisible and vast fluctuation enveloped this region. Within this area, 3 covert figures had utilized a formation to detect the incoming flying boat. Let them continue to advance further deep into the formation, then make a move. The 3 hidden figures waited patiently. Suddenly, inside the black flying boat, Luo Feng's biomimetic eye of destruction was wide open. Ever since he reached the early stages of Divine Emperor on both the paths of life and destruction, this biomimetic eye of destruction naturally progressed further, gaining even stronger observational powers. Something is not quite right around us. Luo Feng immediately transmitted his thoughts to Emperor Qing, retreat at maximum speed immediately. Oh! Emperor Qing had not sensed the danger, but he trusted his companion. Luo Feng too had merely felt that something was amiss. He hadn't detected any enemies, and the surrounding void seemed normal. However, Luo Feng's eye of destruction had perceived that the operation of the heaven and earth rules in the vicinity was somewhat abnormal. A shadowy rule had infiltrated the heaven and earth rules. The deeper one went, the more profound the influence of the shadow power became. Whoosh! The black flying boat suddenly retreated explosively, reversing course at maximum speed. We've been exposed. They actually discovered us. Trap them. A dense shadow power descended, and in an instant, an area spanning billions of kilometers turned a gloomy gray. Luo Feng's flying boat was also within the vast range of the shadow power. However, they were not far from the boundary. At this moment, the endless shadow power was thick and sticky, completely restraining the flying boat. Heaven and earth unite. Heaven and earth creation. A towering figure emerged, naturally mobilizing the vast power of heaven and earth. His right hand, like a great axe, furiously cleaved downwards. Where the axe fell, it seemed as if the world was being split in two, forcibly ripping open a giant heavenly rift. This was a forbidden move that Luo Feng created, best suited to the characteristics of his heaven and earth avatar after reaching the early stages of Divine Emperor in both life and destruction, heaven and earth creation. After this gigantic rift was cleaved open, even the shadow power was briefly split apart by a massive gap. Whoosh! The black flying boat immediately followed this rift, its speed soaring, streaking out of the range of the shadow power in an instant. The towering figure also followed the heavenly rift and instantly escaped, rushing out. Only after fleeing the vast range of the shadow power did Emperor Qing finally exhale in relief. Brother Luo Feng, it must be the experts from Shadow Tower. Emperor Qing transmitted his thoughts. If we were trapped in their formation, it would be a big trouble. This formation is formidable. My heaven and earth avatar's forbidden move could only manage to rip open a rift. Luo Feng also felt how troublesome their opponents were. Ha ha ha. Laughter echoed. 3 twisted shadows descended all around and materialized into 3 figures. They each wore grey robes and masks, an invisible force spreading around them. It indeed is Shadow Tower. Luo Feng and Emperor Qing were completely certain. Within Yulan City, there were 3 forces routinely engaging in theft and raiding: Insect Nest, Shadow Tower, and Deceit Workshop, all belonging to Wei Yang Palace Master. The forces led by Wei Yang Palace Master represented the largest power in Yulan City. In Shadow Tower, those responsible for theft held a relatively ordinary status. Those in charge of raiding were truly the middle and upper echelons. These raiders generally concealed their aura and hid their appearances. After all, raiding could too easily invoke enmity. The raiders from Shadow Tower generally possessed the strength of middle-stage Divine Emperor cultivators. The weak do not dare to raid, Emperor Qing transmitted to Luo Feng. From the brief exchange earlier, I've estimated their approximate strength already. Luo Feng was clear on this as well. Ha ha ha, Emperor Qing and Luo Feng. The 3 figures in grey robes looked at Luo Feng and his companion. One of them said with a laugh, No wonder you two dare to hunt together, you indeed possess some strength. You know the rules of raiding, right? Of course, Emperor Qing said, we are willing to offer some primordial crystals. Not much is needed, just leave behind one low-level primordial life corpse and we'll let you go, one grey robe spoke up. Emperor Qing and Luo Feng exchanged glances. All right, Emperor Qing agreed and waved his hand, releasing one low-level primordial life corpse, which was the cheapest among their spoils of war, valued at about 800,000 primordial crystals. That was straightforward. After collecting the body, the leader of the grey robes and his two companions twisted their figures, and three shadows vanished. Let's go. Emperor Qing and Luo Feng steered the black flying boat, avoiding the shadow formation area, and continued their return. Inside the flying boat. Hunting outside is a threat not only due to low-level primordial life but also other cultivators. Emperor Qing shook his head. We of course don't care about those regular raiders, we can even counterkill them. But it's troublesome if we encounter strong ones. If we can flee, we flee. If we can give away some primordial crystals, we do so. Emperor Qing shook his head. But if a raider doesn't want primordial crystals and instead wants to kill for treasure, then we can only fight for our lives. Luo Feng nodded. Based on the brief exchange, those three must have been middle-stage Divine Emperor cultivators in strength, possibly accumulating for a long time and not lacking in various secret treasures. Luo Feng admitted that even with Emperor Qing, he wasn't confident in their chances against the three. Phew. After flying for a while, the black flying boat finally arrived at Yulan City. Emperor Qing also showed a smile. Our luck really isn't bad. Although during our first hunt we encountered a low-level primordial life in the later stages of the Divine Emperor, we managed to escape successfully. The second hunt might have encountered raiders on the return trip, but by giving up a low-level primordial life corpse, we've avoided another disaster. This is considered good luck? Luo Feng asked. Very good luck indeed, Emperor Qing said. You'll understand when you've hunted more. During hunting, it's common to suddenly encounter an ultra-strong low-level primordial life, causing severe casualties within the team. Or, on the way back, encountering raiders who break the rules, brutally killing and looting treasures. Luo Feng listened and nodded. In Yulan City at the early stage of Divine Emperor, it's like this. We stake our lives, and we might still be robbed, Emperor Qing sighed. Fortunately, I come from the source world and I have the clone technique. Otherwise, life would be much harder. Cultivation isn't easy in Yulan City, Emperor Qing said, and glanced at Luo Feng. Of course, brother Luo Feng, you are different. You already possess the strength of a mid-stage Divine Emperor enlightened. Just purchase a few more secret treasures suitable for yourself to enrich your skills. That would be enough to join any power faction in Yulan City. In Yulan City, there are many powers. But a mid-stage Divine Emperor enlightened can already become a mainstay, Emperor Qing said. After all, the next level up is the Elder level and their numbers are quite limited. Luo Feng smiled. In Yulan City, there are 723 Divine Emperor later stage enlightened ones in total. Among them, 327 are elders. Many of them have avatars braving the dark sacred realm. The avatars in Yulan City rarely take action. When the elders act, it generally attracts attention across the entire city. It's the mid-stage Divine Emperor enlightened who are the backbone of many power factions in Yulan City. Do you have any plans to join any side? Emperor Qing asked. No need, Luo Feng shook his head lightly. What concerns him most now is to swiftly advance his life and death Dao to the early stage of Divine Emperor. That's true, you've been in Yulan City for a short time, just concentrate on cultivation, Emperor Qing said. However, if there's a chance, being in a high position in some major forces does have many benefits. Luo Feng smiled and said no more. During the conversation, the black flying boat had already arrived at the majestic primordial hall. Let's sell the spoils of war first. Emperor Qing and Luo Feng flew together towards the primordial hall. This time the 8 remaining low-level primordial life corpses and battle merits were sold for a total of 8.6 million primordial crystals, Luo Feng and Emperor Qing each taking half. After dividing the primordial crystals, Luo Feng and Emperor Qing went their separate ways to make their purchases. This time I am mainly buying mid-stage Divine Emperor level primordial life materials. Luo Feng began carefully visiting each merchant in Yulan City, inquiring about all materials suitable for life and the destruction path. It took a whole day, carefully comparing prices and bargaining. Finally, he purchased about 1,000 portions of mid-stage Divine Emperor level primordial life materials, each costing around 3,300 primordial crystals. In the entire Nine Rivers Sacred Realm, at least 90% of level primordial life materials suitable for Luo Feng during the mid-stage Divine Emperor were probably collected. The remaining ones were extremely rare and hard to find. Afterward, Luo Feng also purchased 900,000 primordial crystals worth of auxiliary cultivation elixirs and other items. Quite a coincidence, the official flying boat is about to arrive. Luo Feng was pleasantly surprised. On the third day after making his purchases, one of his avatars, carrying the storage treasure Illusion Realm maze, took all these purchased treasures back to the land of origin. The storage treasure Illusion Realm maze was necessary to bring each time. Luo Feng was also worried about theft. Different cultivation systems, sometimes it's really hard to guard against. In the land of origin, with the Eye of Life and Death, the efficiency of cultivation is indeed more than 10 times higher than that of Yulan City. Luo Feng had already decided, in the previous few hunts, to travel back and forth to the land of origin each time. In the future, once sufficiently wealthy, he might travel back and forth after several hunts. Emperor Qing and Luo Feng have returned from their second hunting trip. Since they lived together in the same cave mansion, Luo Feng and Emperor Qing didn't hide anything. Naturally, Emperor Ming and Dai Fu also knew about it. It seems that they had a smooth journey. Emperor Ming sat cross-legged in his own cave mansion, his expression complex. Since my arrival in Yulan City, I have also participated in a hunt, but the result was a complete mess. It's logical that the normal hunting teams of Yulan City don't want us, the early-stage Divine Emperor's bloodline cultivators. During the hunt, the positive impact we could provide was negligible. Instead, we were more likely to slow everyone down. This time a total of 32 team members, all early-stage Divine Emperor bloodline cultivators, everyone discussed and deliberated on the methods of cooperation for a long time. But what was the outcome? Emperor Ming was quite disheartened. The 32 members rowed the flying boat out and were lucky to encounter a low-level primordial life at the early stage of the Divine Emperor. With their team, if they had encountered something stronger, it would likely have been a total annihilation. Even for the weakest low-level primordial life, the 32 of them followed the previously prepared strategies of cooperation and teamed up to attack. However, the body of the low-level primordial life was too formidable. Its life force too strong. Their cooperation was exquisite, and they successfully executed 7 sets of attack strategies, continuously attacking, preventing the low-level primordial life from counter-attacking. But, after enduring 7 sets of attacks, although the low-level primordial life was grievously injured, it still didn't die. During its mad counterattack as it neared death, the low-level primordial life brutally killed 17 members, severely wounded more than 10, and the rest fled in disarray. 32 team members, yet couldn't kill one low-level primordial life. No wonder the hunting teams don't want us. Emperor Ming shook his head. Let's make good use of Yulan City's resources, diligently cultivate, and strive to advance our strength further. He appears poor. But being a recipient of the infinite space reward, Emperor Ming is actually quite wealthy. He just has to be very careful when using his wealth. After all, he's too weak. He hasn't even cultivated the clone technique. The true witch lineage of the 9-ringed world tower is indeed extraordinary. The information about the void lineage has enriched me greatly, and I feel I am getting closer to the complete space great Tao. Dai Fu was very satisfied within the 9-ringed world tower, even though he was helping out with menial tasks. After all, it's a different cultivation system, but the essence is still Tao. If I could grasp the complete space great Tao, I would have the qualifications to survive into the next era in Land of Origin. Dai Fu smiled brilliantly, full of confidence in the future. If he stayed continuously in the Land of Origin, stuck at a bottleneck, he might not manage to break through even unto the grand desolation of the Land of Origin. But since arriving at Yulan City, Being exposed to numerous cultivation systems and abundant cultivation resources, the difficulty of achieving a breakthrough has naturally decreased substantially. I came to the right place. Dai Fu felt very fortunate. With Luo Feng and Emperor Qing caring for him, he didn't need to worry about his living arrangements within the city, which was quite relaxing. Brother Luo Feng is already at the cultivation strength of a mid-stage divine emperor the enlightened, surpassing me. Emperor Qing sat cross-legged in the quiet room, looking at the jade bowl in front of him which contained an amber-like liquid. I have been stuck at the final bottleneck for too long. 80 million primordial crystals. I sold many treasures to obtain this void heart marrow liquid for this very gamble. Emperor Qing was not originally so anxious, but the imbalance of strength within the team made him decide to take this gamble now. The wealth accumulated over the long years was all exchanged for this treasure. Come. Emperor Qing opened his mouth, and the amber-like liquid from the jade bowl all flew up, entering into Emperor Qing's mouth. Time drags on. A black flying boat has already commenced its return journey, flying towards Yulan city. In the front hall of the flying boat, Emperor Qing steers the vessel, observing and sensing everything in all directions. Luo Feng sits beside him, the biomimetic eye of destruction on his brow open, surveying the vast expanse surrounding them while also feeling somewhat wistful. It's been over 7 centuries since I arrived at Yulan city, and this is the 3rd hunting expedition with Emperor Qing. Yet my life and death Tao has still not broken through to the early stages of Divine Emperor. Luo Feng sighs inwardly. 7 centuries, a truly long time. On the land of origin, it took Luo Feng just 5 centuries to grow from an eternal true god capable of killing Dai Yuan. In the paths of life and destruction, I made small efforts in cultivation and managed to reach the early stages of true god. But to merge the two proves far more difficult. Luo Feng shakes his head gently. Despite consuming some cultivation-aiding treasures, studying vast amounts of low-level primordial life materials with the Eye of Life and Death, and with the assistance of treasures like the Undying Heart, the Eye of Life and Death, and the Star Tower, his cultivation could be described as advancing by leaps and bounds. Yet the life and death Tao is too vast. Brother Luo Feng, I originally thought that by the 3rd hunting expedition, after my breakthrough to the middle stages of Divine Emperor, my strength would be comparable to yours. Emperor Qing says from aside, his emotions still quite stirred, remarking, who would have thought that in this short time, your strength has taken yet another significant stride. It's merely the creation of a physical body method, says Luo Feng. That physical body method of yours is truly terrifying, exclaims Emperor Qing. Having just reached the middle stages of the Divine Emperor, I thought by joining forces with you, I could never have imagined we would be able to kill a low-level primordial life at the middle stage of Divine Emperor. Luo Feng smiles. Indeed. During the 3rd hunting expedition, they killed 7 low-level primordial lives at the early stages of Divine Emperor, and 1 at the middle stage of Divine Emperor. Using your physical body, you faced the flame monster beast in battle and gained overwhelming advantage. I merely assisted you from formation, and you forcefully killed that middle-stage Divine Emperor-level flame monster beast. Emperor Qing vividly recalls that scene. Luo Feng, displaying the powerful physical body method, was cloaked in a layer of blood-colored scales, which granted him terrifying defensive capabilities. The flame monster beast's ferocious attacks merely caused minor cracks on the surface scales of Luo Feng's body, which quickly healed. Yet with each of Luo Feng's strikes, the flame monster beast would sustain massive injuries. With one hand dragging, the other furiously attacking, coupled with sweeping blood waves, the flame monster beast couldn't even escape. Emperor Qing merely added to the assault with supportive strikes from his sword array, delivering a few fierce final blows to the flame monster beast, which Luo Feng then completely vanquished. My physical body is only comparable to that of a mid-stage Divine Emperor-level low-level primordial life, Luo Feng says with a smile. Indeed, just comparable. It's because Luo Feng's methods of killing and self-defense are more mysterious, and with the assistance of 2 great secret treasures, that he could fully suppress that flame monster beast. Having a physical body that's nearly the equal of a mid-stage Divine Emperor-level low-level primordial life is terrifying enough, laments Emperor Qing. Their advantage lies in their physical bodies, ours in our realms of power. With your realm, to bring forth such a physical body, you could even hunt down a mid-stage Divine Emperor-level low-level primordial life on your own. An average middle-stage Divine Emperor-level hunting team would at least consist of 3 cooperative and experienced Divine Emperors in the middle stages along with an enlightened one, or as many as 6 or 7, explains Emperor Qing. Your current strength is considered very formidable among those at the middle stage of Divine Emperor. Emperor Qing's praise comes with mixed emotions. He thought he had made a breakthrough, having become a middle-stage Divine Emperor himself. He assumed that this time, he would be entitled to an even split of the spoils of war. About the distribution of the spoils of war this time, let's do a 70-30 split, suggests Emperor Qing. Weren't we agreed on 50-50, asks Luo Feng, looking at him. That was the agreement when they set out. At that time, Luo Feng had even borrowed some primordial crystals from Emperor Qing to purchase a secret treasure array map, which was also used to assist this physical body. I hadn't expected that you could single-handedly slay a mid-stage Divine Emperor-level low-level primordial life, says Emperor Qing. I took advantage the last time we divided the spoils, this time no. A 70-30 split is enough. If it were an 80-20 split considering merit points, Emperor Qing wouldn't necessarily be limited to 1/5. A 30% share feels sufficient to Emperor Qing. Looking into Emperor Qing's eyes and understanding his thoughts, Luo Feng nods smilingly. Fine, then let it be 70-30. Having been in Yulan City for over 7 centuries, although the life and death Tao has never become early-stage Divine Emperor, Luo Feng has accumulated increasingly deep expertise throughout the cultivation process, also creating some secret techniques for life and death integration, of which the strongest is based on the Star Tower blood-colored scale as a template, further drawing on the profound mysteries of the combat-oriented Undying heart, and culminating in the creation of this physical body method. It's called the Undying Blood Sea Body. This method stands as the present pinnacle of Luo Feng's cultivation path. Purely with the physical body, he is comparable to a mid-stage Divine Emperor-level low-level primordial life. With just a glimpse into the mysteries of the Star Tower blood-colored scale and the Undying heart, I've managed to forge such a method, Luo Feng is well aware. Once I make further progress in my realm, this physical body method can continue to be perfected. Previous physical body methods relied on the support of the formless and intangible transformation. Now, the cultivation of the physical body must be realized through self-enlightenment. The life path has always been a subject of thorough study, and Luo Feng's comprehension proceeds smoothly. The speed of Luo Feng's growth is indeed frightening. Emperor Qing, as Luo Feng's teammate, acutely senses his pace of development, having been in Yulan City for just 7 brief centuries, from initially slightly lagging behind me in strength. Now, amongst the middle-stage Divine Emperor enlightened ones, he is considered extremely formidable. If he progresses further, wouldn't he reach the level of a late-stage Divine Emperor enlightened one? That's the realm of strength possessed by the ancestors of the 2 nations. Is this the pinnacle of talent among countless worlds? Emperor Qing sighs inwardly, shining brilliantly in the land of origin, but when compared to the numerous strong beings across countless source worlds, he, too, can only be considered 1 in 10,000. Within a single reincarnation era of the source world, Emperor Qing became a middle-stage Divine Emperor enlightened one, a feat not to be dismissed lightly. In Yulan City, the number boasting such strength amounts to not more than tens of thousands, among them many old creatures who have cultivated for endless eons. In the 9 Rivers Sacred Realm, I am considered 1 in 10,000. But this Luo Feng, he is at least 1 in 100 million, ponders Emperor Qing. The black flying boat continued its flight. Emperor Qing, after reaching the middle stage of Divine Emperor on the Space Great Tao, also greatly enhanced his ability to perceive the void. Emperor Qing carefully sensed his surroundings. Everything seemed normal, with clouds rolling in the distance and dust swirling on the ground. We have fallen into a formation, Emperor Qing voice transmitted to Luo Feng. Luo Feng's expression remained unchanged on the surface, but inside, he grew vigilant. I haven't detected any danger. Luo Feng's biomimetic eye of destruction was also observing. It's a very powerful void technique. The transition through the void is unnaturally natural, and I only realized it after falling into the formation. I am turning around now and will flee with all my might, transmitted Emperor Qing. The enemy was not rushing to make a move, they were patiently waiting for them to venture deeper into the formation. But once turned around and fleeing, the enemy would likely strike immediately. Whiz! The black flying boat suddenly turned around, fleeing rapidly at immense speed. Hum! A vast formation diagram phantom appeared around the flying boat, covering its surface with a layer of sword light. Wrapped in the sword light, the flying boat's escape speed increased significantly. Have they discovered us? They are quite sharp. A vast painting emerged from the void, encompassing an extremely wide area. Their black flying boat was but a small dot within the enormous painting. Enter my secret treasure and you still wish to escape. A cold sneer spread from the void all around. Rip! Above the black flying boat, suddenly, a pair of hands condensed into form. The gigantic pair of hands burst forth with the mystery of life and death, forcibly tearing a slit in the vast painting, and the black flying boat immediately whooshed out of the painting through the gap. Hum! 5 figures stood in different positions, watching the escaping black flying boat. So it is a few friends from the Deceit Workshop. The black flying boat disappeared, and Luo Feng and Emperor Qing appeared, quite courteously. Luo Feng also observed the 5 silhouettes occupying positions in the distance. 3 great raider forces had already attempted to steal his treasures. It was the insect nest the first time, and the last encounter was with the Shadow Tower. This time, they met the Deceit Workshop. He had dealt with all 3 great raider forces. The leader of the Deceit Workshop practices very special cultivation methods, calling himself Deceit Realm Master, and his methods are extremely vicious. His subordinates are mostly the same. Luo Feng had naturally understood some basic information about the Deceit Workshop. Emperor Qing, your sword array, and the giant hand that just now escaped the painting of the secret treasure. It seems that both of you have reached the middle stage of Divine Emperor, observed the 5 silhouettes looking at Luo Feng and Emperor Qing. Gentlemen, shall we do this by the book? Emperor Qing spoke. Having escaped the ambush was already proof of their strength. According to the rules, they would pay a fee as a tribute for the raiders' efforts. Dealing with these 2 isn't easy, a tall figure voice transmitted, take a fee and let them go. Emperor Qing and Luo Feng, in the intelligence reports, had always been at the early stage of Divine Emperor. Even if they have broken through to the middle stage of Divine Emperor, it hasn't been long since their breakthrough, so their foundation isn't deep. A cold man with a blood-colored vertical mark between his eyebrows voice transmitted, we 5, at the middle stage of Divine Emperor, have long been coordinated and experienced. Joining hands against them, we have a great chance. The 2 of them are from the source world, and even if we eliminate them, they may still have avatars. Those who come out from the source world sometimes have some very special treasures. If we can scoop up one, we'll make a fortune, the cold man voice transmitted. At this, the other 4 were tempted. Indeed. Compared to the billions of worlds being farmed, the strong from the source world received more resources, like special life remnants, innate secret treasures, and even treasures exchanged in the infinite space were all very enviable for the strong from the billions of worlds. Luo Feng and Emperor Qing were extremely vigilant. The rules? Outside Yulan City, there are no rules. The cold man sneered, today, both of you must die. As the voice dropped, black rain appeared, covering a boundlessly vast area around them. Within this vast area, the enormous painting appeared once again, looming over Luo Feng and Emperor Qing once more. They want to kill us. Emperor Qing's face changed drastically, his eyes also filled with madness. With raiders, not everyone followed the rules. And once the rules were disregarded, it was the naked law of the jungle. Emperor Qing, I'll take on 4, you take on 1. Luo Feng's eyes were filled with a cold killing intent. A vast painting covered an endless expanse, and in a split second, the 5 figures all merged into the painting, vanishing from sight. Meanwhile, black rain poured down, with white mist forming anew. These white mists caused the temperature to plummet drastically, to an inconceivable degree. How ridiculous! Luo Feng sneered. His body flickered and instantly became towering and massive, clad in a layer of thick blood-colored scale armor. Layers of blood-colored scales covered every part of him, and beneath Luo Feng's feet, the boundless and endless blood sea spread out. Inside Luo Feng's body was a secret treasure array map. This was one of the 2 main secret treasures Luo Feng relied on in battle now, the life and death tribulation map. It was purchased before this hunt with 300,000 primordial crystals borrowed from Emperor Qing, along with the few Luo Feng had remaining. This array map contained the profound mysteries of life and destruction at the later stages of a divine emperor. The purchase of this array map was to augment his physical body, the undying blood sea body. Rumble tilde tilde tilde. The array map operated. The boundless and raging blood sea became even more wanton and ferocious. Assisted by the array map, it swept across hundreds of millions of kilometers in an instant, turning the entire area enveloped by the vast painting into a blood-red world. This blood-red world had an endless blood wave below and an endless blood mist above. It was precisely the life and death tribulation map, combined with Luo Feng's undying blood sea body, that allowed him to derive a large-scale domain technique, the blood sea heaven and earth. Once the blood sea heaven and earth was formed, the vast surrounding area became a part of his own body. Luo Feng's blood sea, teeming with endless vitality, effortlessly shattered the painting, rain, and white mist, the three kinds of domain forces. The immense painting collapsed under absolute power. The black rain, containing terrifying poison and permeability, still could not match Luo Feng's stronger life force and recovery ability. It was exhausted in a fierce battle where the blood sea depleted apart, and the black rain had to deplete 10 times more. Hissing sounds erupted as the black rain quickly dispersed. The white mist contained extreme cold, but it could not freeze the blood sea. Rumble. The blood sea surged wildly, scattering the black rain, covering the white mist, and tearing the great painting to shreds. Not good. We've provoked a formidable opponent. As the huge painting was torn apart in an instant, the 5 figures were forced to emerge, showing their shock at having kicked an iron plate. These domain techniques were executed in concert by 3 of them. Yet now, they were suppressed by Luo Feng alone. The gap in their domain abilities indicated that this Luo Feng was not to be trifled with. Being skilled in domain doesn't mean they are also strong in other aspects. Since we've already clashed, there's no turning back. Take them down. These 5, after all, were also at the middle stage of Divine Emperor and considered the enlightened, naturally very confident in themselves. Let's eliminate the weakest one first. A figure in a white robe looked at Emperor Qing, and in an instant, boundless radiance appeared that touched Emperor Qing as it shone. You think I'm easy to deal with? Emperor Qing instantly turned into a sword array. Knowing his limits, he minimized the range of the sword array, going all out just to deal with this white-robed figure. Your opponent is me. Luo Feng's towering figure bellowed, the infinite blood wave surging in all directions and sweeping toward those 5 formidable enemies. If you're seeking death, I shall grant it to you. A cold-hearted man stared at Luo Feng, his body turning into black mud. This black mud disappeared in the same spot but appeared on the surface of Luo Feng's body. On Luo Feng's towering body, strands of black mud began to penetrate through the blood-colored scale armor on his skin. This power? Luo Feng felt the extreme poison and permeability of this black mud. It was an evolved version of the previous black rain, far more terrifying. However, Luo Feng's physical body was crafted after blood-colored scale and the undying heart found within the Star Tower. The greatest feature of his body was its immortality. How is his body so difficult to penetrate? The cold-hearted man found it incredibly challenging. As he eroded, he himself was constantly depleting. We still need to kill him face to face. Endless white mist coalesced in midair, turning into the same towering ice giant creature. This ice creature, similar in height to Luo Feng, had 2 heads and 8 arms, all made of ice, sparkling and crystal clear under the light, and stunningly beautiful. It instantly rushed in front of Luo Feng, all 8 arms attacking simultaneously. Break! Luo Feng clenched his fists, wearing secret treasure gloves on both hands, unleashing their power all at once. Boom! Luo Feng did not care about the direction of the 8-armed assault, he just hammered his fists straight ahead. The area where his fists struck trembled under the overwhelming pressure, shattering 4 of the arms trying to block and finally impacting the chest of the ice creature, blasting a huge hole in its chest. The ice creature was hurled back from the terrifying impact. His close-quarters combat is so fierce too. This scene took the 5 powerhouses from the Deceit Workshop by surprise. Each cultivator has their strengths, and being skilled in domain doesn't mean they are also powerful in other aspects. Yet Luo Feng's large-scale domain and close-quarters combat abilities were both extremely strong among middle-stage Divine Emperor the Enlightened. Unite against him. Surround and kill him. Black mud persistently permeated the surface of Luo Feng's towering body. The ice creature's chest wound healed rapidly, returning to normal as the ice swiftly mended. Stepping forward, it charged at Luo Feng, fierce and heedless of life. More blue ribbons flew in, enveloping the vast void, binding Luo Feng from all directions, leaving him no way to dodge. A massive blood serpent suddenly appeared, instantly coiling around Luo Feng's right leg and waist with such force that even Luo Feng felt a twinge of pain. Luo Feng struggled at this moment, but the blue ribbons were too tenacious, likely formidable secret treasures invincible to him. Crack, 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 tilde, tilde, tilde. As the giant serpent constricted, cracks appeared on the blood-colored scales on Luo Feng's body, but they healed instantly. Surrounded by 4 attackers, Luo Feng's body was still able to withstand the onslaught. He sure is tough, his body barely took any damage. But he can't fight back. Imprison and suppress him, then slowly kill him. The 4 strong ones from Deceit Workshop communicated with each other through instant transmission of thoughts. Watching this scene from a distance, Emperor Qing, who was battling another formidable enemy, became somewhat worried. 1 against 4 is still too difficult. The combined strength of the 4 from Deceit Workshop is too tricky to handle. Although worried, Emperor Qing was not panicked. They were the strong ones from the Source World. Even if they died in battle today, they still had their avatars. Ha ha ha. Bound and unable to resist, Luo Feng burst into laughter. Do you think this is my real physical body? Luo Feng looked at them and laughed heartily. The physical body method I created, I named it Undying Blood Sea Body. Have you thought about why I named it that? The 5 strong ones from the Deceit Workshop immediately sensed something was wrong upon hearing these words. Because the Blood Sea is my true body. Luo Feng laughed heartily as his towering figure instantly disintegrated, turning into blood waves that merged into the endlessly bright and boundless Blood Sea. Yes. The Undying Blood Sea Body, where the endless Blood Sea holds 80% of the energy reserve, and that condensed physical body is just 20% of the energy reserve. Moreover, the body can transform between the Blood Sea and physical body at any time. This is true immortality. The 4 strong ones from Deceit Workshop attacking him were somewhat dumbfounded. The towering figure they had been fighting dissolved into the Blood Sea, blending into the boundless expanse. How were they to fight now? Rumble. The Blood Sea turned heaven and earth upside down. In an instant, it covered the entire world. The first tribulation of the Life and Death Tribulation map, Secret Treasure Array map, Life and Death Prison. At the core of the vast and endless Blood Sea was the Blood Sea Eye, which, now in conjunction with the Secret Treasure Array map, naturally formed a space prison inside the Blood Sea Eye. This prison now enshrouded only a clump of massive black mud. The black mud transformed into a cold and gloomy man. What is this? The man looked around. This was a space prison formed within the Blood Sea Eye, completely isolated from the outside world. With the power of life and death circulating endlessly, it constantly whittled away at the enemy. It's better to break one of his fingers than to hurt his 10 fingers. Luo Feng's figure materialized in the prison. Let's start by killing you first. Luo Feng was well aware that the life and death prison he deployed with his Undying Blood Sea Body and the array map could only dare to imprison one enemy. Imprisoning too many enemies would be risky, as they might be able to break out of the prison. Just imprison one. Luo Feng was much more confident. Do you think you can kill me? The cold man said while observing his surroundings. Under the operation of the formation, chains formed by the condensed power of life and death appeared out of nowhere, naturally binding the cold man who couldn't resist at all. With his strength above mine, I shouldn't harbor any hope of luck. The cold man sensed danger and immediately used his life-saving treasures. Buzz! The cold man turned ethereal in an instant, breaking free from the binding chains, and collided against the space prison. Though the prison desperately tried to stop him, he pierced through it instantly. He then collided against the layers of the Blood Sea Eye. The Blood Sea Eye was the core of the Undying Blood Sea body, akin to an inner world. Luo Feng's Heaven and Earth avatar had merged with it, reinforcing the Blood Sea Eye. Thump! The ethereal cold man collided against the membrane of the Blood Sea Eye, breaking through 3 layers before losing momentum. This secret treasure excelled at flying escape. When it came to piercing through spatial membranes, it was somewhat lacking, and after consecutively breaking through the space prison and 3 layers of the Blood Sea Eye's membrane, he could no longer escape. What? The cold man regretted at that moment. He regretted not having bought more life-saving treasures. He thought traveling with 4 comrades was safe enough, and 1 life-saving treasure would suffice. It seems you didn't escape. Luo Feng's figure, which rematerialized quickly, looked at him with a smirk. Looks like today, you're really going to die. Spare my life, please spare me, pleaded the cold man, bound again by the chains that formed out of nowhere, his body eroding under the power of life and death. Panicked, if you let me go, all the treasures on me are yours. What a joke, if you die, won't the treasures become mine? Luo Feng looked at him. I have many friends in the deceit workshop. If you kill me, you'll incur many great enmities, the cold man continued. Do you mean, only you can kill me, but I cannot kill you? While Luo Feng spoke, the life and death prison continued to squeeze and erode away at his physical body unabated. The cold man's body was losing energy more and more. No, in desperation, the cold man attempted to contact his 4 comrades. The other 4 strong ones from the deceit workshop were somewhat stunned. One of their comrades had been imprisoned in the boundless Blood Sea. This Blood Sea is his body, he must have an inner space, skilled at imprisoning enemies. These 4 strong ones could not find the Blood Sea Eye in the vast Blood Sea. Save me, save me. Even my life-saving treasure couldn't help me escape. Quick, save me. Their comrade was pleading for help. The 4 strong ones were shocked. Luo Feng, you haven't been in Yulan city for long. If you kill Kumo, his master and friends will definitely come after you, the icy creature spoke. If you kill him, for the sake of our deceit workshop's reputation, we will not let you go, said the great serpent coldly. Ha ha ha. The endless Blood Sea laughed. I, a strong one from the source world, afraid of making enemies? If you want to kill, just try. I would like to see, in the end, who will be afraid of whom. Emperor Qing, who was far away, heard what Luo Feng said and also felt his blood boiling, laughing heartily. Right, we, the strong from the source world, have never been afraid of making enemies. The 4 strong figures from Deceit Workshop all felt that things were not looking good. Normally, the strong figures from the source world acted cautiously to maintain a stable cultivation environment. But if they really tore their faces apart and fought to the death, it's possible that the powerhouses of the source world may lose treasures, but they can continuously send avatars from their hometown. Originally I thought that killing 2 mid-stage divine emperors wouldn't be so easy. Just take a sum of money and let them go. But Kumo insisted on making a move. In this endless Blood Sea, we can't find the place where Kumo is imprisoned, so it's impossible to rescue him. The 4 strong figures from Deceit Workshop also felt quite troubled. Suddenly, you must find a way to help me, he is refining me, and I can't hold on much longer, the cold male prisoner anxiously communicated with the outside world. My body has already been refined by 20%. Beg for mercy, negotiate, whatever method you can think of, find a way to save me, the cold male transmitted his message. As long as you can save me, I am willing to give each of you 10 million primordial crystals. The 4 strong figures of Deceit Workshop heard this. 20% refined already? They were shocked. Those innate primordial lives all have life cores. But as cultivators, they have no vital points. They can be destroyed either by totally annihilating their souls or completely destroying their physical bodies. If Kumo dies, this endless Blood Sea might imprison one of us next, breaking us down one by one. The ice creature remotely transmitted to his 3 companions. With these words, a shiver also ran through the hearts of his 3 companions. Everyone joined Deceit Workshop. How deep could their fellowship be? Naturally, it was impossible. Let's go. Hurry and leave. After the four of them reached a consensus, the light and shadow originally fighting with Emperor Qing also flashed and converged with the other three companions. Kumo, we will inform your master, let him find a way to save you. They transmitted these words to him, then the four of them together turned into a hazy light, tearing through all obstacles and forcibly flying toward the distance. If both sides fought, it would be hard to determine the winner in a short time, and Luo Feng would also take time to break them down one by one. Once they fully fled, Luo Feng's endless blood sea was also unable to intercept them. Whoosh! The hazy light moved very fast, disappearing into the distant horizon in a matter of moments. Whoosh! The endless blood sea condensed into a figure in a black robe, which was Luo Feng. They've left. Emperor Qing also flew next to Luo Feng, smiling as he looked into the distance. I didn't expect that the two of us against five, they lost one, and the other four simply fled. What deep relationships can these plundering forces have? Luo Feng sneered. By the way, the divine emperor you've imprisoned, is there a way to kill him? Emperor Qing asked. Just a moment, said Luo Feng. Emperor Qing immediately showed a smile, refreshing. They wanted to kill us, we should kill them. Killing that divine emperor, the spoils might be more than we gained from this hunt. A thought crossed Luo Feng's mind. Only the strong figures of billion worlds do not have avatars. Therefore, the treasures they have accumulated are always carried on them, Emperor Qing laughed. Luo Feng understood. Some auxiliary treasures, inheritances, and so on, might have been long gone. But the habitual carrying of weapon secret treasures and some cultivation-needed materials is generally retained. Just in case they come with reinforcements, we should leave here first, said Luo Feng, who was currently fully refining the imprisoned Kumo. Go? Emperor Qing and Luo Feng together immediately boarded the black flying boat, quickly leaving. In Luo Feng's body, the eye of the blood sea of the Undying blood sea body. Within the space prison deployed with the secret treasure array map. Hiss hiss hiss. The power of the array formed life and death chains, all binding the figure of Kumo, eroding and strangling his body. Kumo's body is composed of countless rule-based deadly poisons. A clone of Luo Feng arrived here, observing the opponent with the biomimetic eye of destruction. Kumo's body was actually an endless black mud. Blasting his body, he would also disperse into countless deadly poisons, basically without loss. This time, Luo Feng acted with his endless blood sea covering a vast area, successfully imprisoning all black mud poison, which finally prevented Kumo from escaping. Hiss hiss hiss. At the moment, the life and death array worked together to refine, continuously refining and consuming parts of the rule-based deadly poisons. They ran away. Kumo was angry, then also resigned. In the entire Yulan city, only his master truly had a close relationship with him. Who else really cared about his life and death? This is a terrifying array. Unable to escape, as Kumo felt the life and death array's power eroding and strangling him, he was originally not afraid of close combat, and during this encounter, he was the first to attach himself onto Luo Feng, wishing to erode Luo Feng's body. But in terms of bodies, Luo Feng was clearly stronger. My deceitful poison body, with this I can engage in close combat with low-level primordial lives at the mid-stage of the Divine Emperor, erode them, and hurt them. Yet, my deceitful poison body cannot overcome the power of this life and death array. Kumo's body gradually distorted, only his head remained normal as his body started to turn into a mass of black mud. Black mud, constantly being refined and consumed. Luo Feng. Kumo, maintaining his normal head, looked at Luo Feng. Luo Feng stood not far away, observing Kumo's current state. You still wish to live? Luo Feng looked at him. I wish to live. Kumo nodded. Since you wish to live, why act so decisively? Even when offered a sum of primordial crystals, you still made a move. Luo Feng spoke. When you chose to make a move, you should have realized that once you fall into my hands, I won't give you another chance. Kumo nodded, his cold face revealing a faint smile. Along this journey, I have killed too many creatures, it is finally my turn to be killed. Kumo closed his eyes. At this moment, he reminisced about his journey. In the world where he was born, the great Tao was toxic. The more one cultivated, the closer one came to death. One must break through to the next realm before each calamity arrives in order to continue to survive arduously. He had traveled through more than 300 worlds, personally witnessing the destruction of 19 worlds, and he also caused the destruction of 3 worlds. He himself had ascended 3 times. Brutally, before the final Great Tao Death Tribulation, he reached the Godly King tier, mastering a branch of the Great Tao. Only by mastering a branch of the Great Tao could he escape the Great Tao Death Tribulation. Thereafter, he even mastered the complete tainted Great Tao. After arriving at Yulan city, he perceived that the inheritance of deceit workshop suited him perfectly, and thus he cultivated the deceitful poison body. Killing and plundering were as common as breathing to him. He didn't even care about destroying worlds. I reached the Godly King tier, only then did I escape the Great Tao Death Tribulation. But, through the long years, I have grown accustomed to it, accustomed to killing, to plundering, to all of it. Habit, it has deeply ingrained into my soul. In the moment nearing his death, Kumo finally understood. The numerous arduous ordeals of the Great Tao Death Tribulation, from his weak state to becoming a godly king, had too profound an influence on him. Sigh? His body was nearly refined, only a small remainder left. At this moment, Kumo tried to contact his companions, but due to the vast distance, it was no longer possible to reach them. The 9 Rivers Sacred Realm imposed strong suppressions. The range for transmitting artifacts was also relatively small. Can't contact them anymore. At this moment, Kumo thought of his only master. His master's talents were much stronger than his. It was thanks to his master that he could escape death and reach this day. Master, don't seek revenge for me, Kumo murmured softly. I wasn't killed by another cultivator, but died by the hands of the Great Tao Death Tribulation. Whoosh! Finally, the small remainder of black mud was completely refined away. Kumo completely vanished, leaving no residue behind. At the time of his death, only then were secret treasures left behind. Luo Feng watched the entire refining process from start to finish. Mid-stage Divine Emperor's strength cultivator, he knew their cultivation path was legendary and their cultivation journey arduous. Furthermore, Luo Feng knew that the seniors had expended great efforts in raising powerful cultivators. Thus, in Yulan city, Luo Feng stayed low-key, avoiding trouble. But when someone wanted to kill him, Luo Feng would no longer hold back. You are the first Divine Emperor I have killed, Luo Feng said softly, waving his hand to collect the secret treasures Kumo left behind. These treasures included a storage artifact, illusion realm maze, and deceitful secret treasures. As for what's inside the illusion realm maze, it stored a large amount of items. Among them were numerous low-level primordial life materials, particularly of a poisonous kind. There were also other various spoils of war he successfully plundered. Illusion realm maze itself contained 3 treasures. Quite a few cultivators died at his hands, Luo Feng thought. The materials he purchased are also quite premium. Unlike his own impoverished purchasing methods, Kumo's purchasing was much more lavish. Of course, many materials were to aid his poison refining. Estimated value of these materials and treasures is about 80 million primordial crystals, Luo Feng judged. A cultivator's rewards were mostly consumed, such as purchasing assistance treasures, buying a powerful lineage. What he carried with him were all commonly needed cultivation items. Their value was relatively limited. 80 million primordial crystals is very good, Luo Feng was satisfied. The return journey thereafter was much smoother, encountering no more plundering, and the black flying boat successfully arrived at Yulan city. Brother Luo Feng, you killed Kumo. This news will spread quickly, Emperor Qing said. Your reputation in Yulan city will be much bigger than before. Previously Luo Feng was too low-key. People outside even thought Luo Feng was in the early stage of Divine Emperor. This time, Luo Feng, facing 4 mid-stage Divine Emperors alone, and even managed to counterkill 1 mid-stage Divine Emperor, Kumo. Such strength was absolutely of a strong caliber among mid-stage Divine Emperors, enough to attract the attention of many powers. Looking at Yulan city, your strength ranks within the top 2,000, Emperor Qing said. With such fame, even if you don't seek trouble, troubles may still come looking for you. Luo Feng nodded. By the way, according to information, the only real relative of Divine Emperor Kumo in Yulan City is his master, Yu Yong. Emperor Qing said, his master, Yu Yong, is much more difficult to deal with. I'm merely an avatar in the Nine Rivers Sacred Realm, what is there to fear? Luo Feng smiled easily. The other party is the true body, mine is an avatar. The anxious one should be the opposite party. Sigh? The black flying boat flew through the high skies of Yulan City, heading straight for the primordial hall. This episode is end here.